As moon boys around the globe watch and wait in anticipation of the gigapump of a century, are the charts right now signaling that indeed an absolutely big, and some would even say bone-worthy pump isn't just coming, but it's coming big time. So if you understand that before things get really big, they have to start off as regular big, hit that like and subscribe, get set up to FEMEX or BITUNIX below. Using my link, you don't need to sign up with KYC or use a VPN for FEMEX below if you use the link. And without any further ado, let's take a look first at this chart. And guys, let's be honest, this chart doesn't look too good. In fact, after being in a very long downtrend for a long time, we can see all of this built up volume above us. And in fact, after most recently coming up right to about this level, we've seen a little bit of a rejection, and most likely the next move is going to be a mega downside crash. Well, congratulations, because you just got switcherooed in real time, because this is the Bitcoin chart inverted. Wow, give me a round of applause if you absolutely got switcherooed, because this is actually the price of Bitcoin non-inverted now. Basically, we do this at least once every week or so to highlight not only is this bullish, it's in fact mega bullish. And it destroys all bias when you look at it from the flip side. And this is the flip side. Realistically, all of this support, all of this volume is below us, not above us because it's inverted. And we're in store for the pump of a lifetime soon. After just recently coming down to this level as a retest, even possibly, as I've said, we could go lower and it would still be totally healthy objectively. Either way, I think this market is spring-loaded for gainers big time. That's really the easiest way to say this. So I do want to look at the charts, but before we continue, let's look at a few things here. According to Bitcoin Archive, the Bitcoin hash ribbon has just flashed a buy signal. Significant price gains have followed 7 out of the last 7 times this indicator was triggered. It is one of the most reliable buy indicators by far. I don't want to say this is bullish, but it's pretty bullish. If we take a look here as well, the US dollar has devalued more than 300% since 2000. That's about 14% devaluation per year. This means if your savings don't grow by at least 14% annually, you're falling behind. Bitcoin fixes this. This is the easiest way, I think, to look at it, which 99.9% of people do not look at it this way. If you don't know much about investing or finance or really any of these topics, then you probably think it's a pretty decent play to keep your money in your native fiat currency, whether it's the euros or US dollar or the yen, depending on where you live. But what if I told you, just as this post says, that that's dumb because you're losing your money, you're losing your value every single year because of inflation. You can see inflation is destroying people's ability to save if you're saving in fiat. There is one way to actually get around this though. It might sound kind of crazy, but here it goes. It's called buying Bitcoin. Pretty crazy idea. We also see that Bitcoin, a bullish scenario according to Crypto Caesar on X, let's see, not trading right now till we reclaim some interesting levels, but a descending, broadening wedgie pattern formation, potentially on the verge of bustulating as well. Bullish Adam and Eve pattern, as I talked about yesterday. Very likely we're in the middle of a very big buildup before a bust out. We see that Bitcoin is back above the 12-hour 50 EMA for the first time in nearly 2 months. Potential trend shift being identified. And as well, if you think you're late to Bitcoin, Bitcoin now represents 1.3% of the global money. Meanwhile, over 80% is still trapped in fiat. Imagine when that starts moving into Bitcoin. This is Bitcoin right here, this little itsy bitsy tiny sliver. We have a lot of gains to be gobbled up by the price of Bitcoin. And if we take a look at the price of Bitcoin right now, you might be looking at this chart thinking, what's going on? Are we about to bust out big time? Are we about to break down big time? Well, we have a very clear level of basically a rejection that we've had over the last roughly about 2 months. This clear downtrending level of resistance where we're at right now. A breakout above this would not only signal that a trend change is imminent, but it would also signal that pumpy time is much closer than dumpy time. On the weekly chart as well, after most recently bouncing on the 50-week moving average, this is good for Bitcoin. Most importantly, probably, this is the SPX, for example, on the weekly chart. As you can see on the weekly chart here, right here is the RSI. Right here is the RSI back in October of 2023, the last time that the S&P 500 went below its 50-week moving average. Back here, just like it did just now over the last 2 weeks. The RSI went to about this exact same level, and ultimately, when the purple line crossed back above this yellow line, it signaled gains and gains and gains for actually years. More specifically, like straight up only gains for months, but uptrend continued for a long time. Are we seeing something similar now? Well, if we are, this is the S&P 500 on the weekly chart. If the S&P 500 is just, experiencing a normal correction at its lows, about 10% from all-time highs, now we're only about 6% down from all-time highs. If the S&P 500 starts rallying, then a lot of other risk assets will as well, including Bitcoin, most likely, because there's high correlation. As I've been talking about, I think the dollar is banged for the foreseeable few years. We're watching Tesla. We're watching MicroStrategy. Obviously, we're watching the stock market, S&P 500, the NASDAQ, the Dow Jones, and also Bitcoin, specifically here on the weekly chart. I think big things are coming, big time, absolutely. We look at Bitcoin's weekly chart. Clearly, this is the very first potential switcheroo on Bitcoin's MACD on the weekly chart that we've seen since we really switched into bearish mode back in December of 2024. So about three and a half months ago. The weekly chart is finally potentially curling over. The daily chart obviously also has switched into more bullish momentum as of about March 15th, after double bottoming on this MACD and RSI as well. We have bullish divergence on longer term charts for Bitcoin. You can see this hidden bullish divergence on Bitcoin's weekly chart. I think something big is coming. And as I said in yesterday's video, this entire downtrend can be erased like that if the Trump administration changes their stance on tariffs. And as we all know, April 2nd is going to be a big day. That's when reciprocal tariffs are set to take effect, and we will see how it plays out. But honestly, I personally think that shorting the markets long-term at these levels is a fool's game. I think it's dangerous. Could I be wrong? Of course. Could I be right? Now that's pumpy. And get signed up with Femex below if my Bitcoin altcoins are trade. No KYC or VPN if you sign up with my link to Femex, use below. Without further ado,